What's up everyone, Doyler here, and I'm back with yet another Clash Royale video. I'm going to start and try and put out more Clash Royale videos, especially in the instructional or tutorial realm. So let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or things that you would like to learn regarding the game. I've been playing for a few years now, so I at least have some experience, and I'm not that terrible with a 60-56 best season. So today I'm going to cover 7 tips to level up your log bait game. As you can see, I'm currently playing log bait this season, right around Master 3, hopefully pushing a little higher. I don't know if I'll be able to push to 6,000. I don't have as much log bait experience as I do Golem, but hopefully these tips will help you level up your log bait game a little bit, and maybe I'll be able to learn from my mistakes as well and keep improving on my push to top of the ladder. Tip number 1 is know the meta, but always be ready for surprises. So this video is from around 5600 on ladder, and I already see a Sparky, a Fireball, so I'm expecting sort of a Sparky beatdown deck. But one of the main points of bait is to force mistakes out of your opponent. So this balloon caught me completely off guard. Even after the Mega Knight and Witch come down, I was not expecting a balloon, especially with Sparky as his likely win condition. And coming from behind when playing bait is incredibly difficult, especially when you're down almost an entire tower. So as you can see, he's able to completely pick me apart after this. And even if I defend his pushes, there's no way I can beat him in tower damage, and I go on to lose this match. Tip number 2 is don't be afraid to rock it. If you watched the beginning of this match, I start out with a Goblin Barrel, slightly misplayed. Not the worst play, but I had nothing else to start with and wanted to see his reaction. So he counters with the Valk, which I know I'm going to counter with the Knight and sort of play it from there. Once he plays this Wizard in the back, I know that I can counter it with a Rocket, lose 1 elixir in the trade, but stop him from having a Wizard in the back to support his main troops and do 538 damage to his tower. So don't only save your Rockets for the end game when you're trying to cycle and get that victory. Definitely play them when you see something like a Witch or a Wizard in the back, as well as, a Sparky. Anywhere where you can kill 5 or 6 elixir with a Rocket and do tower damage, it's a win in the end. Tip number 3 is to know your opponent's counters and where they are, at least roughly in their cycle. So at this point in the match, I know that my opponent's main counters to my bait cards are Valkyrie, Zap, and E-Wizard. Wizard as well, but those are the 3 sort of reactive counters. So right now, I know that his Valkyrie is out of hand and I'm about to defeat her. So playing the Goblin Barrel will likely draw out either the E-Wiz or the Zap, and I'll react to that. So once he plays this Zap, I should realize that the E-Wiz is either in hand or almost in hand, and that Goblin Gang at the bridge is a bad move. Unfortunately, I did not think through this at the time, and I immediately play Goblin Gang at the bridge, get countered by his E-Wizard, and lose all of my bait cards and have to deal with a counter push. Tip number 4 is don't be afraid to turn a game into a 2 or even 3 tower match. At this point, I should have realized that once this Inferno Tower goes down, I don't have an efficient way to defend his P.E.K.K.A, although I should have played the log first. At this point, with my Knight attacking his left tower, I should realize that the right tower is lost, especially after this Hog play at the bridge. Sacrifice the right tower and take down his left tower quickly with an early barrel or rocket, and then try and beat him to the right tower, which I already have a huge damage lead on. Instead, I throw the late Goblin Barrel, end up leaving 187 damage on his left tower, and lose an easily winnable match in the end. Tip number 5, and the real primary win condition behind a bait deck like this, is to punish your opponent's mistakes and punish them ruthlessly. So, about a minute into this match, I know I'm facing 2.6, which has great counters to my bait cards in Fireball and Log, let alone Ice Spirit, Ice Golem, and Skeletons. And I'm facing a faster deck, being 2.6 versus my 2.9. So I'm at an Elixir disadvantage and a Cycle disadvantage, and arguably deck disadvantage. I'm not pro enough to know which deck should have the advantage. But watch how I'm able to capitalize on a mistake in the mid to late game and punish him enough to seal the victory. So, fairly even trades, except I know that I basically have to trade Inferno Tower for Hog Rider, so that's a -1 elixir trade every time he plays his Hog Rider, unless I'm able to counter the Ice Spirit as well. So he's successfully countering all of my barrels and hordes, and I am slowly but surely losing the damage and elixir war. So at this point, it's 1114 on my left tower to 2463 on his tower. Except, right here, I've caught him without a log in hand, and he's going to make a mistake and play the Musketeer in the middle of the tower instead of maybe an Ice Spirit here to distract and counter one of the goblins and then the log. So he's going to play 4 elixir, be short for the log, and watch how I'm able to completely capitalize on this play and start to heavily pressure his left lane to regain my damage advantage. So as you can see, he plays the Musketeer. He's short elixir for the log, so I'm already got him down to 1448 damage. Next, he's going to follow it up with the... I believe he follows up with the Mortar, but I also get a few shots on his tower with my Princess, so I decided to double up on Princesses in the left lane, A, to protect the first one, and B, to pressure him heavily. So with this Inferno Tower, I can successfully stop his 5 elixir push, and I still have 1 Princess shooting at his left tower. With a very high up Mortar, I'm able to get 2 more shots off on his tower since it's not a quick counter, and at this point, all I need is 1 rocket to clinch the victory and basically defend until I have 6 elixir. So by allowing me to get a barrel on his tower, by overspending on his defense, and by letting me get 2 princesses in the same lane, I'm able to beat a deck that had the elixir and damage advantage for almost the entire match. Boom, and there it is. Tip number 6 is to not overplay your bait cards on top of each other. So don't double stack bait cards unless you are certain you are able to safely. So at this point in the match, I know that he has a zap, and I know that it's back in cycle, but watch as I distract his Valkyrie with my Knight, and then play both the Skeletons and the Goblin Gang to try and counter his Hog Rider even before he plays his counter spell. What I should have done in this case is either played one or the other, waited a little bit, and then played the other one if he does zap them, instead of throwing both of them down, wasting 1 elixir on the Skeletons, and still having a largely unsuccessful defend against this Hog Rider. So I play both, he plays the zap, and I'm still barely able to kill it with a reasonable amount of speed. Tip number 7, and my final tip for this video, is know how to love the middle of the map and use your small horde-based minions to spread troops around and attack on both sides of the bridge. So as you can see, normal pushes, but he plays a barbarians in the back on his left side. So I've got 5 barbarians coming down the left side and an attack coming from the right side. So I send my princess to the left, which will attack him, and then a knight in the center distracts every one of his troops while keeping them in line for my princess. Once his barbarians die, I'm able to place an Inferno Tower in the center and still get even more value out of this knight to finish off his Hog Rider and counter push right back with my Knight and Goblin Gang at the bridge, successfully protecting my princess for some tower shots. So that's going to be it for these tips. Hopefully you learned a little bit, and hopefully by showing off my mistakes, I learned from them as well. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you want to see more Clash Royale content, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.